Today our program is about the Dane County Farmers Market, which, as we all know, has been a fixture on the Capitol Square for 50 years. Our speaker is Jamie Bugel. Since moving to Madison in 2016, Jamie has volunteered and helped out with day of operations at the Dane County Farmers Market. She has been the market manager since April of 2021 and is excited to be working with the market during its 50th year. Jamie has worked in agriculture for a decade. After graduating from Dickinson College, she worked in diversified organic farms in Pennsylvania, learning the basics of production and the local food system. She then moved to Salina, Kansas, where she managed the perennial wheat research program at the Land Institute. There you go. We look forward to your presentation, Jamie, and we have made a contribution to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund to thank you for speaking to us today.
Okay, how's this? All right, great. Well, thank you guys for having me here today. I'm very glad to be here. This is a little bit outside of my normal purview of market manager duties, so thanks for bearing with me as well. I would also like to mention that the first time I attended a Rotary meeting was when I was 7, so just to those other things, Santa Claus was the guest that day, so while that was very exciting, I am also really glad to be here now. So how many of you have been to the Saturday market on the square? Okay, great. I'm glad everyone raised their hand then. So we all know where we all know a little bit about the market to begin with. So as mentioned, I've been the market manager since April of 2021 and have been really glad to be back on the square for a full season starting in this year. It worked. Great. To orient everyone, I wanted to share a little bit about the structure of the Dane County Farmers Market, also called the DCFM. We have 4 distinct markets, which ensure that there's a DCFM market happening year-round. We have our Saturday on the square, our Wednesday market in between the Madison Municipal Building and the City County Building, which is happening right now. Our holiday market, which is held at Monona Terrace during the November and December holidays, and our late winter market, which is at Garver Feed Mill. It moved to Garver Feed Mill in 2020 from the Madison Senior Center. All in all, we're really glad that we can offer market opportunities for farmers throughout the entire year and for consumers. We are a private corporation. We're a membership-based organization with a board made up of 9 DCFM members who are all elected by the membership of about 230 members. We're fully funded by those members' stall fees, so those fees that members pay to sell on the square. We have a staff of 2.5, which is me, and an assistant manager, and a food access coordinator. And I should clarify, because from the customer side of things, it's pretty seamless, but the City of Madison manages the craft vendors and food carts around the square, and the state capitol organizes the nonprofits you see. So we are just merely the farmers on the edge of the square. So you also may have heard that we are the largest producer-only farmers market in the U.S., which just means that we have the largest number of members at around 230. On an average Saturday, you're probably seeing 120 members. We have a great mix of members who come every week, like the Ballwags, and a few who only attend once or twice a year. And many of those members are also seasonal. So we have a ton of nurseries in the spring and, apples and gourds in the fall. And what does producer only mean? This can simply mean that the farmer must grow the radish or carrot that they bring to the market, but it also becomes slightly more complicated. If you are a dairy farmer, you can bring cheese to the market that you did not make. You just must ensure that the cheese is coming from the cheese plant you're delivering your milk to. Also, if you are making cheese, you don't actually have to milk the cows. You can get the milk from someone else and be the cheesemaker. And of course, we have additions for flour and grain products. So to be a producer-only baker, you just must prove that you are making everything from scratch. We also have strict ownership and attendance requirements, so you must be an owner in the business and actively involved in the production. That is the way that we ensure that when a customer is shopping from a vendor, they are talking to someone who really knows what's going into that product. And a brief history of the market, especially since it's our 50th anniversary coming up. The market began on September 30th, 1972, with 11 farmers who sold out quickly that day. The next weekend, 85 farmers showed up, which showed that this could be a success, and 1973 was the first full season with over 200 farmers. So we've been sticking around that 200 mark there for a while. And the first markets didn't just happen. It was a combination of help from the city, the county, extension offices, the state, the Central Madison Committee, and one of our guests here today, Jonathan Berry, the first market manager. And as you can imagine, organizing about 200 farmers every morning is a challenge. Up until the early 90s, spots were determined on a first-come, first-served basis, which led to many farmers sleeping on the square. So in 1991, the Carpenters, who are still members of the market today and were managers at the time, instituted a system where your spot was based on how many years you've been with the market. And that is the system we still use today. So I, along with the vendors, can start showing up at the square around 4:30 a.m. instead of sleeping out there. So I went through all of that background because no two farmers markets are alike. And I want to share why the DCFM is such a unique and important asset to the city of Madison, and just in general, why farmers markets are such a great part of our food system. It's also a coincidence that I am speaking during National Farmers Market Week. So happy National Farmers Market Week, which is great. So the Farmers Market Coalition is a nonprofit that really helps compile some of the research around the benefits of farmers markets. And they share that farmers markets foster direct relationships between community members and farmers, which can work to create a more fair and sustainable food systems. Farmers markets are a hub for connection and collective action around shared values. So consumer interest in farmers markets has dramatically increased in the past few decades. In 1994, there were 1,700 farmers markets in the U.S. In 2019, there were 8,100. So that's a huge increase. And we've seen that here in the city of Madison, too. We've had, or at least for the past 50 years, have had this Saturday on the square, but we now have really robust community markets, smaller neighborhood markets as well. And many of our members sell at both the Saturday market and a smaller community market. So it's just a great, it's a great way for vendors to sell at both. So additionally, these markets are really beneficial for the region. Research from the USDA found that for every dollar in sales generated from local producers, twice as much economic activity is generated in the local region compared to producers who are not involved in direct marketing. We also see how the market benefits brick and mortar stores downtown. About 50% of market goers are also shopping at neighborhood businesses. And specifically for Madison, downtown Madison has pedestrian count data, which you could dive into that. It is fascinating. But basically, we see anywhere from a 20,000 to 40,000 increase in pedestrians on Saturdays. And while that's not just the market, there's so many other things going on, and it's weather dependent. It really does show that the market is one of the things that brings people downtown on a Saturday. So the DCFM is also consistently cited by the university and those best of publications as one of the reasons why Madison is a great place to live. And as a person who chose to live in Madison, I totally agree. And while a visit to the market is a special experience, it also has created a unique food community in Madison. It really connects the urban and rural community members, which is one of the missions of the market. There are also some unique benefits to farmers. The market can sometimes act as an insurance policy for a small farmer. As I mentioned, we have about 230 members, and some of them are just occasional members. Usually they're selling wholesale to the co-op, or they are participating in community-supported agriculture, CSAs, but they still maintain that membership year after year with us because if something changes, they know they can count on selling at the market. It's also great for farmers for the ability to control the price of your product and try different marketing techniques and get new products out there. It's also an incubator for small businesses. For example, this year we have a flower farmer who is just opening a brick and mortar floral design studio in Verona. Another aspect of how farmers markets impact the community are through nutrition benefits. So for background, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is what once was known as food stamps. And if you qualify for food stamps, you can use your benefits at the farmers market. Basically, you just bring your debit card down to our information booth, and we give you $1 coupons for every dollar you take off your card. Additionally, from June to October, we participate in a nutrition incentive program called Double Dollars, where for every dollar you take off a card, we will match up to $1. So instead of shopping with $25 for the week, all of a sudden you're shopping with $50. This really makes a huge difference week to week. This year I had a customer share that the program allows him the luxury of strawberries. I know that I aspire to live in a world where locally grown fresh strawberries are not a luxury, but a treat that everyone can afford. So providing SNAP service and participating in Double Dollars also provides participants with an avenue to financially support local vendors and their community, just keeping all of their money here. And more research from the USDA also shows that for every $1 in SNAP benefits, $2 of economic activity is generated in the region. And I can't miss out on the incredible culinary tradition of the market. You can find rare varieties of fruits and vegetables that you would not find elsewhere. For example, last weekend we had black currants, which are super popular in Europe, but we don't have the infrastructure to process them on an industrial scale here, so growers don't really grow them unless you're a market seller. So you can look for those next weekend. I'm sure they'll still be here. There's also an awesome connection between our local restaurants and our farmers. It's just so cool that you can see chefs walking around on Saturday morning with their carts, picking up produce, the same produce you can buy, and you can see that produce in their dishes on Saturday evenings. So we want to take this 50th anniversary to really reflect and celebrate the market. We have two projects right now doing just that. First, we have the Hitch Your Wagon to the Market fundraiser, which is being led by Mark Olson from Renaissance Farm, who you might recognize by his cinnamon rolls. There are 14 decorated wagons by local artists that will be on display through Labor Day on Saturdays. So stop by and take a look at one of the inlets around the Capitol and participate in the scavenger hunt to find them all. And then second, a team of Joan and Ted Ballweg and local cookbook author Therese Allen have gathered recipes from DCFM members, chefs, and community members to put together a DCFM cookbook, which is slated for publication in 2023. Pictured is a recipe from the book, Cabbage Salad with Soy Ginger Dressing, submitted by a regular customer. And I just want to share some older photographs from the market. So you might recognize Mary Seeley. She is stationed outside a Subway on Saturdays. She has honey and eggs. We've got Tom Murphy, who has cheese curds. You would recognize him from Murphy Farms. And Bob Willard of Ela Orchard, who still uses the exact same signs that are in this photo. And thank you to Ted Ballweg, pictured here, for inviting me here today. And a thanks to Jonathan Berry for being the first market manager. Well, thank you all. I think there's time for questions. Great.
Okay. It's been so interesting to see the evolution of the farmers market. And initially, the farmers market meant dirt around your produce. Now, it's picture beautiful. Everything is cleaned and stacked and pyramided and everything. So it's, even if you're not buying a lot, it's a beauty to be seen.
That's so good to hear. Yeah, you should see my work phone. I have to delete pictures all the time.
Well, hi, Regina. Hi, Cheryl. You go ahead over there.
There used to be a program of gleaning, so at the end of the day on Saturday, when they were ready to go home, volunteers would come around and take food to pantries. Is that still happening? How's that work?
Yes, that is still happening, although on a more limited basis, and that was a pandemic issue. Basically, Community Action Coalition is the organization that would glean from the DCFM specifically, and they're still coming around about once a month, but we are very open to anyone who wants to glean in the future to, share with pantries. That's where it usually goes.
Back in about 1990, my son and I would get up early and go to the farmer's market with a card table and hosta that we were trying to get rid of, and we made about $1,500 so we could buy a new drum set. Is that available for somebody now who just wants to sell old garden stuff?
That is so good to hear, but unfortunately, no. There is now, to be a member, you have to join our wait list first, and the wait list is about 3 years long at this point. But it's a wait list where even if you think you might have hostas in 3 years, you can sign up. As long as you're producing it yourself, there really is no rules.
Thank you for being here. I saw on your slide about the SNAP program that it was growing, and in 2021, I believe, it was like 100,000, and then it went back down to 60. What do you attribute that to?
Yes, many things. So it went back. So 2022 at 65. That is because I only have the data through July of this year. Yep, and those numbers are also a combination of both our SNAP and our Nutrition Incentive Program. And the Double Dollars program has had shorter seasons in the past. So some of those years are 3 months. Some of them are 6 months. Thanks for asking.
I've been going to the farmer's market ever since we moved here in '76, and I've seen the evolution. Would you speak a little? We saw a major evolution. Our church was bringing in Hmong immigrants, and we saw a major change in both the produce setup and also the composition of the vendors at the market after the Hmong population came here. Could you speak to that?
Unfortunately, no, I do not have any information on that. Does someone else?
Oh, okay.
No, I don't have.
Hello? Hi.
Okay.
Sorry. So you came from the Land Institute, and they have a pretty important national reputation in their work around climate research. And I wondered if you could talk a little about the connection between locally sourced food and climate solutions.
Yeah, so locally sourced food, one, just doesn't travel that far, which is great. There's so many great aspects to it. You're buying food from people who you're sharing watersheds with, so they want to grow food in a way that's protecting their water. I think just buying locally is more of a community aspect, which leads to taking care of your land. And I think Ted has an answer to your evolution question.
You do? I have to hold it.
Okay, so the Hmong coming to Madison and Wisconsin has been a huge benefit to the market. If you know anything about their background from Cambodia and Laos, it's an agrarian society, and they're incredible farmers. They brought lots of new products that we'd never seen before, and they had issues, of course. Some farmers complained because they didn't sell their product at a high enough price. Some people had issues, they had issues because they couldn't speak the language. You had 10 and 11-year-old kids making change. But as we've watched, many of the Hmong now are in their third generation. I look at Yummy Bakery, incredible. His mother still sells vegetables, but he sells millions of dollars of bakery. So they're a huge success. And it took some of the farmers, some of the old-timers like me, a little while to get used to how do we integrate these new types of farmers. But it's been a huge benefit. And anybody that doesn't see that hasn't shopped the market. They just bring so much. Their flowers are incredible. Their vegetables are good. So I don't know how many members there are that are Hmong, and I know that you do send special communications out to the Hmong. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't take any demographic data, but
Okay.
but yes, we have Hmong translator who we can do like
Yeah.
voicemail services with, especially during COVID, that was really important.
Ted, thank you so much. Since I've been going there for 50 years, I've seen some of the same things that you have. So thank you. Thank you.
Hello. You know, after all of these years of the market, I know there are lots of disputes or different kinds of relationships that have been created. So what's the best story?
Best what?
I don't think I have a best story.
Should I ask Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay, here. I was looking forward to
Thank you, dear.
saying hello.
I want to just echo what Ted said. The Hmong population started coming to the market when I was the first manager, and there was some anxiety among the troops. And principally, I think, because they were so successful. They have a strong family background. Everybody pitches in, and they upped the game. They just flat out upped the game for the market. And I think I remember having, well, I guess I'll say it. A group came to me of farmers complaining a little bit. They were anxious. And I said, well, don't worry, just let them keep going. Pretty soon they'll own your farm.
That's awesome.
Well, but there was only really one stinker in that crowd. I would like to say one thing. The State Capitol and Residence Foundation this year is honoring the farmers market for the 50th anniversary, and their Christmas ornament, which will go on sale, I think, in October, is about the Dane County Farmers Market. So if you're all looking for a nice ornament, pick that one up.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Jonathan.
As a State Street merchant, I want to thank you for continuing to have this fantastic asset for our community. And want to ask, is there some way to get that list of 300 that are waiting expanded out? Can we grow anyway?
Oh, great question, and thanks for your holding down the fort on State Street. So there is actually only a list of about 45. It's a 3-year wait because we only accept about 15 more people a year, and that's also dependent on, how many people we have who are regular vendors. If we accept 15 who are only once a year, we'll ask 30 people to come. So it really depends, and it's a balance between we never turn anyone away from the square. You don't have to tell me if you are coming to the market. You just show up on a Saturday. So it's that balance. And so far, I think we've done a really good job, and no one has been squished in too much this year.
Thank you for all the information. Regarding double dollars, how can you donate to increase the amount of double dollars you can? Because I think that is a direct impact, and some people are looking for a direct impact, and it's just a wonderful story. So how can we give to go directly to that?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The easiest way to give is when you shop at the Willie Street Co-op, there's a little coupon hanging right next to the register, and you can ask the cashier to add, $1, $2, or $5 to your order. The other way is to go to Community Action Coalition's website, and they have a link for how to donate.
Hi. Linda, I loved your question about are there great stories, because that reminded me of a story that I have a question about, and what better opportunity to ask it. I live on the west side, and so I shop frequently the Westside satellite markets at Hilldale and at UW Digestive Health. And people have sometimes wondered and asked why we have two Westside farmers markets so close to each other. And I've heard a couple of rumors and urban myths about that, and I'm wondering, what's the official story?
I don't know, because they are not a part of the Dane County Farmers Market.
Yes, I also go to the market every Saturday morning. And my question is, what is it going to take to get trout back at the market?
Start asking everyone you know who has access to trout.
All right.
We have, no, there's one other story here.
Well, Mr. Ty has importuned me.
Yes.
I was a hippie, Mother Earth News, going to be self-sufficient, determined to farm kid. And I started selling produce on State Street in front of Ella's Delicatessen. Mr. B was a fine man and a dandy friend, and at the end of the day, he used to buy whatever I had left, and I'd have to deliver more. Well, one day, the Madison meter maids paid attention to me, and apparently there was a complaint from a local Triangle supermarket or something. The result of it was my truck was peppered with tickets, and I couldn't proceed. Not being very astute, I marched down to the mayor's office and didn't get very far. That was before Wanda. Wanda made everything right. So I didn't get very far, but the Dane County Extension agent, Ron Jensen, had been working with me and brought my sad tale to him. Meanwhile, I had hired 2 kids and geared up and planted 9 acres of produce. So I had 2 kids dependent on a job for the summer. Ron Jensen said, well, gee, the mayor, Bill Dyke, has really been active trying to create a market. And he's got his guy, Bob Brennan, on it. So long story short, I got to see the mayor after all. And the mayor, Bill Dyke, turned out to be very enthusiastic supporter of the farmers market. He had done a lot of legwork. He turned to me and said, all right, well, you organize it. Find the spot and come back and report to me. Well, Hilldale turned us down cold because it was, at that time, it wasn't known that it could be a really attraction. End of the day, Bill Dyke broke all the barriers down, went to see Pat Lucy, got the permit for use of the square, which we determined was the best spot. And then the chamber came through and paid for the liability insurance, which was a requirement for the use of the square. And I don't believe the Dane County Farmers Market has ever had a dime of taxpayer money in it. It's always self-supported. It's just a wonderful institution for this town.
That's great.
Well, fantastic. Thanks for that story, too. That's great to see. It's such a Madison institution. So thank you, Jamie, for being here today. I appreciate it, and all your work with the Farmers Market. That's fantastic. And Ellis, it was a good question about hostas. I don't know if you know, but I've got like 75 different varieties of hosta, and I'm always splitting and sharing and knowing that I could maybe have done a card table and made some money. I've got 4 kids to put through college, so, it would have been a good idea back in the day, so that's good. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. That's awesome. I also hope you'll join us next week, where we're going to hear from Filament Games executive Jennifer Javornik, and she's planning on some interactive activities for the kids in the audience too. And it's such an incredibly beautiful day out there today. I know the farmers market has probably ended already by now. I think 1 o'clock-ish. Maybe if you rush over there quick, you can get something and do your own gleaning maybe a little bit, I guess, so whatever you can find. But if you need a hall pass or some kind of a letter or a note to your boss or to get out of work the rest of the afternoon, please see me. I'm happy to provide, because there's not many days like this left in summer. So please go take advantage of it. Take advantage of all that Madison has to offer. And thanks for being here today, and see you next week.